Today, when we are celebrating Human Rights Day, I recall maybe 20, 30 years back, when I was working in Delhi University, I came to Punjab University exactly to speak on human rights. But that was an official function. Department of Political Science invited me, and I think university treated it as an official function. When I spoke on that day, next day the Punjab newspapers, in the front banner lines, they reported my lecture, front page, banner line. I was quite surprised that why my lecture in a university was reported in such a prominent manner in the Punjab newspapers, and I was asking friends. Then they said human rights, after the massive violation of human rights in Punjab was coming back to normalcy, and the media wants to report to the Punjab people, normalcy is coming back, human rights are coming back, and that's the reason why your lecture has been reported so prominently in the daily newspapers. Context has been changing, and Punjab has witnessed what human rights violations can be. It's a part of the collective memory of Punjab, and one need not come all the way from Hyderabad to say what human rights are, what human rights violations are, because Punjabi people have seen what Indian state can be, what violations can be, and there are as many tragic stories of violations in Punjab as perhaps in Kashmir, or as in Chhattisgarh or Jharkhand or in different parts of India. When we are talking and celebrating Human Rights Day, we are remembering Balgopal, Kanabhiran, Geelani Sahab. Several other friends, Jagmohanji made a reference to both Balgopal and Kanabhiran. I think all the speakers are referring to Geelani. I also feel very sad because I knew all three of them very closely. I had the opportunity of working with them. Geelani Sahab, though, he was a member of the GN Sai Baba Defense Committee. I am the chairman of the committee. And the last meeting that he attended, when we had a defense committee meeting in Hyderabad, I asked Geelani Sahab, Kashmir mein kaise haal kaise hai? So he said, sir, it will burst. Punjab, Kashmir will burst. This is what last dialogue I had with Geelani Sahab. He was very healthy. He never looked sick. But you know that he almost went close to the death twice or thrice. There was an attack, there was a firing on him, there was a death sentence which has been commuted. Now he has been acquitted. But I must recall Geelani Saab's memory that last week we had a memory meeting in Delhi where Arundhati Roy, all of us spoke. See, Arundhati said that Geelani Saab is the most fearless and decent human being that she has ever met. She said he was such a decent man. In fact, I think Geelani ji symbolized the essence of Kashmir, or what we call Kashmiriyat. Kashmiriyat is a synthesis of Vedanta, Sufi philosophy, Sikhism, Buddha. He combined in himself, or the Kashmirian, because I had an opportunity of going to Kashmir and interacting with the people of Kashmir. You must see the Kashmiris to believe that what humanity can be at a personal level. Their entire culture, entire outlook is shaped by various positive social influences like Buddha, Buddhist influence is there, Vedanta influence is there, Sufi culture, which is one of the most refined cultures of the Islam, it is there in Kashmir. And Kashmiri Muslim is not like a typical Muslim of the other part of India, he's slightly different. Because Sufism, as you know, is one of the very refined, streams of Islamic thought. So that's what Geelani represented to all of us. And whenever we were fighting for Sai Baba's rights, he would be the first person to go to Ramjet Melani. If I had an appointment with Ramjet Melani, he will go first because it was Ramjet Melani who brought Geelani Saab's case. If I have to meet any lawyer, he will be the first. He will take appointment, he will make all arrangements, and he will reach before I reach the lawyer. His commitment to the rights of Sai Baba were so deep that he was the one person who worked very sincerely, very hard for release of Sai Baba. If not release, at least we wanted the conditions in the prison must be improved. Sai Baba, as all of you know, is 90% disabled. His one hand is completely crippled. His both legs don't work. He is a wheelchair-bound person. And he's known to me because he is a student of University of Hyderabad. And once he is imprisoned, there are no facilities in the jail. One of the major features of human rights, both international human rights and national, is that prison is not a punishing place. Prison is supposed to be a reforming place. That's why in my part of India, I don't know in Punjab, how do you call the jail administration is called correctional administration. When you call it correctional administration, if somebody is drifting from the society, drifting from the main stream of the society, or has prone to crime, jail is supposed to be reforming the person and sending him back to the society. This is the function of a jail. The very notion of a jail has come from the idea that human beings can be reformed. Even if one is a murderer, one is a criminal, human being can be reformed because of all the species, human being is the only species which can change his or her nature. No other species, a tiger can't change its nature, a cat can't change its nature, but human being can change his nature. We can become better human beings. That's the confidence that why all of us feel that we can humanize this world, create a better world. And that's what human rights vision is all about. We can create a better world. We don't need to live in this type of world. And when I teach my class or whenever I go, I keep on telling my students that what type of society you want to live in. That should be a part of the vision. Young people from Punjab who have suffered the trauma, today should have a vision as to what type of society we want to live in. Is this the type of society we want to live? Or we have to transform the society into a more humane society, into a more democratic society, into a society with more social harmony, society which is participative, society is more equitable, society where, democratic rights, the scope of the rights, horizon of rights is constantly expanded. It's for you now to reflect. What type of gender relation we want? What type of status we want for women in the society? How do we treat the woman? I think these are all part of, if your generation does not work continuously for a better society, you will be leaving a far worse society to your posterity than what we have done. And to live a full life, an intense life, a meaningful life, you need a vision. And I have been teaching human rights, philosophical foundations of rights, political economic rights to my students for 20 years. I taught University of Hyderabad. I have always been telling my students, what is your vision of an alternative society? Are we condemned to live in the present society, or are we to transform the society? And my own perspective of human rights, when we introduced a postgraduate diploma in human rights, and when I was teaching human rights to my regular students, I used to have 100, 150 students from science, from philosophy, from literature, they used to join the human rights course. And I called my human rights program Human Rights a Transformative Perspective. Human rights are not to preserve the order, but human rights to be used to transform the society, to change the society, to alter the present society, and make the society more equitable, more participative, more human, more socially harmonious, more equitable. I think that's the type of society we should be dreaming. And I think that students of Punjab University, those who have come, I'm sure that those who are attending this meeting have certain concerns, larger concerns. And those larger concerns are the concerns of the larger society. More marginalized section, deprived section, Dalits, Adivasis, women, Muslims, minorities particularly in this country. Only yesterday, now this bill is being passed. Now almost the bill almost says that Muslim is the second great citizen of this country. Almost, it's openly, Amit Shah is saying that Muslim population is growing and therefore they want Hindus from the outside the other countries. And they say that whichever Hindu comes to India is a natural citizen, and Muslims of this country have to go back, or at least some of them have to go back to Bangladesh, Pakistan and all that. I just don't understand this logic at all. Is it that the human identity is defined only by religion, by caste? First you are human and then there is an identity. First we are all human beings. And then you forget that those who opted for this country, the large section of Muslims who opted to live in this country, the Kashmir, which opted to be a part of India, not Pakistan, one of the things that guided the Kashmiri people at that point of time, Sheikh Abdullah particularly, when he agreed to join the Indian, they joined India, they had an option to be independent, to join Pakistan, to join India. Why did they join India? Hari Singh, Raja was Hindu, is all right. But Sheikh Abdullah, who represented the Kashmirian, he opted for India because Pakistan was a theocratic state and India was a secular state. And they thought that the Kashmirian, which is a unique culture of the Kashmir, will be protected, will be promoted, and will have enough of space in India than a theocratic state called Pakistan. And today what have we done to the Kashmiris? How are we treating them? And what was our agreement with the Kashmir? Our agreement with the Kashmir was that you will be autonomous except in the defense, external affairs, currency. Rest of it you will decide on your own. You will have a self-governance. And that's how the Kashmiris have joined Indian Union. And your entire accession, if you look at the treaty, agreement, this is what we have guaranteed. Now, this autonomy which we have granted, or which we have agreed to with the Kashmiri people, now you come and say that no, Kashmir is a part of India. Yes, in one sense it's a part of India. But you go and annex, now they put the army, suspend all human rights. Till now they have no internet, they have no telephone connections. They are not even, still they are under the almost curfew situation. And why are we treating them who trusted us? And all rights, human rights in Kashmir, whichever right you talk of, Universal Declaration of Human Rights, International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, International Covenant on Social Economy, you look at any international agreement, international treatment, that see all rights are violated. It's a land under siege. And on Human Rights Day, we have to remember that somewhere we have to speak on their behalf, that if at all Kashmir has to remain a part of India, I think the rest of India, from the civil society, we have to speak for them. But we have completely violated, and now we have one part of India where rights absolutely have no place. All rights, whatever right you talk about, they are completely violated. Now they say that we have integrated Pakistan, Nehru created this problem, Sardar Patel wanted to solve the problem. All this debate, as you have to go into the history and look at the historical context, under what and which conditions the Kashmiris have joined, what were the conditions, what were the commitments, what is the promise we made, what is the provision that you provide in the Constitution of India. And how the Article 370 came in the Constitution, how the Article 35A. Now, on the 35A, they are saying that the 35A is a sort of, aberration. But today, if you look at the 35A and look at the, and 370, Gujarat, where from our Prime Minister comes, even today in Gujarat, outsider cannot buy agricultural land in Gujarat. In my own state, Telangana, when Telangana joined the Andhra region and became Andhra Pradesh, the land in Telangana cannot be bought by outsiders. This was one of the parts of the agreement. Today in Mizoram, you can't enter without an inner line permit. You can't enter Nagaland without inner line permit. Even if you join as a professor in Meghalaya University, you can't construct a house, you can't buy property in Meghalaya. You have to come to the Assam. No, these are all there, a part of India. This is how we are trying to build a nation state. Whole Northeast is covered by the, Schedule 8 of the Constitution, Schedule 6 of the Constitution. Schedule 5 and Schedule 6 of the Constitution guarantees certain autonomy to the regions. Now suddenly you come and say that Kashmiri has become aberration, Kashmiri has become, it's not Kashmir. Several parts of India have these guarantees, even today. But now the minute the Kashmir, the territory of Kashmir is integrated, not the people, somebody, the political leaders and chief ministers, the BJP leaders say that the Kashmiri women are beautiful. What absolute nonsense. You might say that the Kashmiri women are just, beautiful and therefore people can go just marry them without their will. What are you talking? If the women are beautiful, the very idea that, it comes to a politician that women are beautiful and the Indians can go and marry, it looks ridiculous. What is our gender notion? What is our gender conception? How do you look at a woman? I think, the cultural degeneration is reaching a point where, today our cultural standards are touching the lowest ebb in terms of gender relation, in terms of caste relation, in terms of the regional relations. It's a gradually degenerating. And Kashmir represents that part of the political and, the cultural turmoil in the country, and today the rights are violated and you can't talk to them, they can't contact you, they can't, even today, after 4 months, they say it's very normal. Any report that has come till now, whoever has gone on a fact-finding from Kashmir, they are saying that Kashmir is turbulent. We on the Human Rights Day demand the government of India that to lift all the restrictions, allow the Kashmiri people to move freely, allow them their will to be expressed. If at all you want them, I think it will become increasingly difficult to convince a people whom you have held under siege. I think on this day, that's what human rights actually guarantee. Human rights have come as a part of historical process, and human rights guarantee the dignity, the liberty, the equality, the fraternity. These are the things, you look at the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And when the Universal Declaration of Human Rights was being drafted by United Nations, Usha Mehra, who represented India, she said that don't call it a declaration, call it a covenant. What is the difference between a declaration and covenant? Declaration is an intention. Covenant is, is a sort of binding. So our representative to 10th December 1948, what was our stand? Call it a covenant. That was our confidence that India will be safe for human rights. We will observe highest standards of human rights. And in 1993, I went to attend the United Nations Conference on Human Rights at Vienna. Myself, Professor Kanabhiran, both of us went. And Manmohan Singh represented India because Prime Minister was Sikh. And Manmohan Singh, while presenting India's perspective of human rights, he says development aid of the United Nations or the development aid from the other parts is normally linked to human rights record. If your human rights record are good, the development aid will be more. He said that linking development, the human rights record to development aid is counterproductive. This is what Manmohan Singh said. And in informal meeting, when we met, the Kashmiri Chief Minister also was there, Manmohan Singh was there, External Affairs Minister, so a number of people were there. And Swami Agnivesh asked Manmohan Singh, "Sir, what exactly is the stand of India on child labour?" And Manmohan Singh said, "Swamiji, tell me one country in the world which has developed without child labour." Can you believe? And then I turned to him, I was sitting in the front. I said, "Sir, if we were meeting Jawaharlal Nehru under the roof of United Nations, if we had asked this question, do you think Nehru would have answered this way?" Then Manmohan Singh looked at me and said, No, Professor, I am an economist. I look economy from the production point of view. And I am not a human rights man. I am not a political scientist. I am basically an economist. I said, should it be, you may say that if you are a student of economics, you have nothing to do with human rights, nothing to do with the child and child rights. But that's the stage to which we have come. Where have we started? Where have we come? And what has happened? Why you think that human rights today are under threat? 1993, the way Manmohan Singh responded. But today, perhaps, after the independence, after 70 years, the human rights are under greatest threat. We really do not know whether next year we'll be able to celebrate even this much, have a meeting. We don't know, because the way things are drifting. And why do you think that it happened? Why do you think that human rights are under greatest threat today? Why you think somebody like Haragopal, Gilani have been fighting and their names are remembered today? Now, what has happened basically is from 1947 to 1967, which was something like a period of consensus in the history of India. And I have seen Jawaharlal Nehru when he came to a place close to my village. I was studying my high school in my village, and I went to see Jawaharlal Nehru. 54, when he came to Hyderabad with his cigar, he was moving all alone without any police. 1959, Jawaharlal Nehru came. I have not seen a security guard. I was a child, but I don't remember that there was any police anywhere around, because a child normally remembers the police presence. And Jawaharlal Nehru was so safe in India because India was with of hopes and expectations. There is the promise of the Constitution. There is a promise of a socialist society, an equitable society, a fair and distributive-oriented society. Right? And the Indian people were expecting things will change. But by 1969, things started drifting so much that rights were not delivered, justice was not delivered, constitutional vision completely has gone, and India became restless. And during 67 to 71 is the most turbulent period. Communal rights started. Hundreds of people, Muslims, have been killed during this period. Till then, barring the partition, there was no, but communal rights started late 60s. Autonomy movement started, secessionist movement started, identity movement started, caste movement started, gender movement started, Naxal movement came. All of them came, as an upsurge of unrest of the society. And Naxal movement was one movement who survived for more than 50 years, in spite of all the repression that the Indian state has used. And because the Naxal movement, even today, if you say that you are remotely even connected with the Maoist politics, now they are calling urban Naxals and all that. The only problem is that the Naxal movement has not only challenging the system and the structure, now they are saying that in this existing society and with this system will not transform, people have to struggle, and only through struggles the society will transform. This is the vision that they are presenting. Now, in Telangana, my state, because the violence and counter-violence, the spiral of violence started increasing, we initiated peace talks. And we correspond with the Maoist party. We were 15 members from the civil society. Kanabhiran was a part of us. SR Shankaran, a legendary IAS officer, was the convener. One of the prominent Dalit leader, Tarakam, was member. Myself was member. One of the former vice chancellors. No, all of us were part of this group called Committee of Concerned Citizens. And we went and invited the People's War and then became a Maoist party. And one of the demands of the Maoist party was restoration and full implementation of democratic rights. Whatever you have promised in the constitution, enforce them, the rights that you have guaranteed. They went on asking that, do you have this democratic rights and human rights? Now they said that as a part of the democratic rights, people have a power, have a right, have the freedom to expand the scope of the rights. People can fight for new rights. The rights need not be a static notion of right. Rights, it can be an expanding notion of rights. Rights are a creative notion. Our notion of rights keep on changing. As new needs arise, rights come. Human rights are never static. They can never be defined completely. Human rights keep on changing. They said that people need democratic rights. People want better livelihood. People want better land distribution. People want better employment. People want, anyway, the better conditions. And then they asked the question that you have a land ceiling. And you have a land ceiling. And in Hyderabad, 16 people have 1 lakh acres of land. If you have urban ceiling, how come that 16 people have, one has 10,000 acres of land, one has 8,000 acres of land? And 50 yards of land, a poor man wants to put a hut, there is nothing. How come that in Hyderabad, 16 people hold 1 lakh? The government was shattered. They were shattered. What they said is, people have a right to have a house, have a shelter, and people would like to put a small hut and whatever small house, they don't have a land and they sleep on the pavements. Why this inequality? So therefore, there is a struggle which is constantly keeping on asking for certain fundamental questions. Now it's a political question. Equality, distributive justice, rights, they are all political questions. They are not police questions. They have nothing, police department has nothing to do with these things. It is the political system which has to deliver. But the governments which are increasingly crippled and caught in the cobweb of the super rich and the corporate, they do not want to address the question, and therefore whichever question they do not want to address, they hand it over to the police. A number of my students are in the police department. They are very senior police officers. They keep on arguing with me. What to do, sir? They hand over, what can we do? They ask us to implement these questions, so therefore we implement. We don't enjoy using the force. Then I tell them that why don't you advise the government, this is not the police, the law and order. They say it's a political question and it has to be politically addressed. Human rights, in fact, their very essence is to protect the rights politically. It has to be politically. And state, what is the role of the state? To protect the life of a citizen. If at all they have any positive function, protect the life of but the state does not have a right to, the power to take away your life by whatever means except the due process of law. But in Hyderabad, you heard that there was a ghastly incident, a rape on woman, a veterinary doctor. All of us definitely feel terribly upset. But there was an outrage in the society and people started feeling all sorts of things. Lynch them, cut them to pieces, hang them, this, beat them with. And an actress, in the parliament says lynch them. I am saying on this day to my friends from the Punjab, all of you young people, see, to control one crime, you can't commit another crime. If you want to take revenge, then there is nothing like rights, constitution, rule of law. If somebody beats, I will beat him back. If somebody does, I will hit back. That's all. You can leave the people to themselves. Why there is the state, judiciary, legal process, rule of law. And these 4 people who have been encountered, Whether they are the real culprits or we do not know. Because there is an outrage, outcry, they must have caught hold of 4 people. Don't know. They could be real culprits, they could be, that has to be proved in the court of law that these are the real culprits, and then you punish them. Nobody is saying don't punish, but punish them, but according to the law. And due process of law is the essence of the human rights. Equality before the law, equal protection of the law. And you have encounter, and this encounter has been invented in 1969, 1970 to counter the Naxal movement at that point of time. And ever since they invented the encounter, they are going on killing not only radicals and the revolutionaries. You will be surprised that what happens if you give this power to the police department to catch hold of and directly punish. Instead of they proving the guilt and all that, they start punishing. I'll give you 2 interesting instances. They were searching for Naxal in Karimnagar, one by name Chandrasekhar. And there was a cycle repair shop, and one young boy was he was working, his name was Chandrasekhar. They have shot him. He was not that Chandrasekhar for whom they were searching. And another instance which Haragopal was narrating, that some woman died, the dead body was found, they caught hold of somebody and took him, and he confessed that he killed his wife, and the judgment was to be pronounced, and maybe he would have got even death punishment because he confessed, he admitted the guilt. And on the day when the judgment was to be pronounced, the wife appears. She says, I am alive. Some woman died and they caught hold of somebody. And they book a case against him for false evidence. Police people. Haragopal was fighting that case. So the point is that you can catch hold of anybody. When Chandrasekhar or one woman died and they caught hold of somebody and they said he is the husband, and that fellow confessed and he was to be punished. So therefore rule of law is very important. And that's why I encounter this extrajudicial killing, which has come as one of the massive, one of the greatest violations of the right, one of the worst thing that has happened in India. And therefore human rights movement has been fighting against the entire violation of the rights. But basically what is happening is that increasingly the state is becoming repressive instead of being responsive, because state today feels it can't address the basic problems of the people. Whether it is the employment, whether it is the poverty, whether it is the hunger, whether it is the dignity, whether it is the autonomy, whether it is the freedom, whatever human rights have guaranteed, state is not confident. Why state is not confident? Because state has completely given up welfareism. Now welfareism is no longer possible. Now there is a greatest violation of human rights and greatest inequalities in the socio-economic system. Greatest inequalities. 1% of the people, super rich, are holding 58% of the income of the country. 58% of the income or the wealth of the country is in the hands of the 1% of the people. 60 crores people, rural areas, farming community, agriculture laborers, their entire share in the economy is 11%. On the one hand, 58% of the wealth in the hands of the 1%, and the 60 crores people have 11%. And it's growing. Now, you can't touch any corporate now. The 5% corporate tax in the last budget, corporate fought and got it out. They said remove because growth will affect. I would like and appeal to you, each one of you sitting here, what is growth for? What do you do if the wealth of the nation grows? If the welfare of the people, quality of the life does not change, if people do not have employment opportunities, people do not have a dignified life, people do not have a housing, a woman in rags is begging in a crossroad, holding a child in the lap, do you call her human? Who is human? When you call human rights, Upendra Bakshi said, human rights means right to be human. Human rights means right to be human. I want to live as a human. And who is human? Dignity, freedom, equality, opportunity, growth, my own, development, a full development of a human being. That is what is, human. Because human beings have a potential to express themselves. And society should provide opportunities for full development, blossoming of the human being. If you do not do that, you don't provide conditions for the human development and the human growth and the human progress, then how are you going to protect the human rights? No, you are not treating human being as human, then where are the human rights? That's why Upendra Bakshi said, right to be human. I want to live as a human being. And today, these inequalities, growing inequalities, do not allow the state to touch the wealth. And the problems are growing. Unemployment is growing. More and more people are being removed. Contractual employment has come. The jobs are insecure. And the life has become insecure. Individuals have become atomistic thanks to neoliberalism. And the society is absolutely in a turbulence, and society is passing through a major drastic transition. State, which Constitution of India, which in fact the Human Rights Declaration obligates the Indian state, or for that matter any nation state, to protect the rights, to provide the rights. And therefore, the entire process of the protection of human rights have been given to the state, but today the Indian state, given the inequalities, given the discrimination, given the given the inability of the state, given the economic structure, given the neoliberalism, and one way now they found is to sustain the society is communalism. Communalization of the society is to divert the attention of the people from the real issues to non-issues. Ram Janmabhoomi or whatever uniform civil code, these are all non-issues. These are all, they are not real economic issues. They are not life and death issues. They are not the issues of the poverty. They are not issues of the deprivation. They are cultural issues. You bring culture in the place of economic governance, and instead of addressing the economic questions in an economic or in a political way, you address the question, the culture, and you bring culture. And through the culture, you polarize the society, divide the society. And you bring the Citizenship Amendment Bill. These are all diversionary techniques. Now, in the process, Indian state is becoming increasingly incapable of handling not only the basic questions, but increasingly incapable of protecting human rights. And that's exactly the reason why we need a Haragopal or a Kanabhiran or a Geelani or a Sai Baba or a Varvar or the 10 human rights, Sudha Bharadwaj and all that. Why we need all of them, or why they have become hope of the society, is because they are raising these fundamental questions. And Jagmohanji referred to Haragopal. I want to say a couple of words and then Geelani, then stop. Haragopal was a PhD in mathematics. He was a literary critic. He was the opening batsman to his university. He was a social analyst. He became a lawyer and a first-rate lawyer. Imagine mathematics PhD, literary criticism, social analysis, cricket and law. And he was first-rate lawyer. One lawyer in India who never charged a fee to his client, never took money from his client. And he used to go to the villagers and tell them, this is a case which we have to fight because justice is on our side. One lawyer who searched for cases, one lawyer who searched for clients, not client came to lawyer, lawyer went to the client. You understand? These are the new traditions of human rights. Ab Geelani साहब तो कहना ही नहीं. In spite of the fact that he went to the mouth of the death, he was so committed to the release of the political prisoner, rights of the political prisoners. He was the chairman of the committee for rights of the release of the political prisoners. And Jagmohanji explained, political prisoner is the one that he who does not crime any crime under the Indian Penal Code. Or criminal, the 29 crimes are listed. They don't commit any crime listed in our criminal law. They live for convictions. They live for the causes. They don't fight for their own progress. They fight for others' rights. And those who work for others' rights, we are calling them political prisoners, and they have to be outside in order to speak on behalf of the people. Otherwise, the people's voice will be, stifled. And therefore, Geelani ji was continuously fighting, going round the country And it's very unfortunate that such a person who was so committed, so humanist, so passionate, such a, life experience, with the experience what he knows, what human rights violation means, and representing the essence of the Kashmiriyat, he is no more with us, or no longer with us. He is very sad, but I think the legacy left by Kanebran, Haragopal, Geelani, and friends like that who fought for the rights of the people, I think that legacy has to be continued. And on Human Rights Day, students and the youth of the Punjab, particularly those who are present here, have to make some commitment, whatever is possible, that commitment to work for a better, more humane, more democratic society. I think that is the big tribute to any celebration of the Human Rights Day. I thank you for this opportunity and for such a patient hearing. I don't know, I should have spoken in Punjabi or Hindi, but that has not been my language. So sorry for speaking in English, but I thank you very much for this rare opportunity of interacting with all of you.
Thank you.